Guys, and welcome to a very exciting event being held in India. Tata Steel Chess, not the main Tata Steel, which will be later this month in Vacancy, but the Rapid and Blitz event, which actually was held in India a couple of times before. Magnus was participating, but this time we have a slightly different roster of players, but still extremely exciting. And one of the participants is Hans Niemann, very controversial figure who wasn't invited to many those invitational top tournaments, but now he finally gets them and finally gets the opportunity to play the best in fast time controls, and he will be competing in Netherlands in main vacancy tournament later this month as well. So his first round game against the World Rapid Chess Champion 2024 New York, Volodar Murzin, and Hans starts with e4, Volodar responds with e6, and we have French defense. e5, Stein's variation, I have knight 6, bishop a6, king d2, b5, bishop e2. I mean, those guys know how to play here. They know a lot of theory, so let's see. Knight d1 before. So the idea for white was to play c3, but now they decided to play c4. So c3 is one of the moves here, and I believe, if I look at my files, c3 is definitely there, but c4, I assume it's some kind of modern way to play these positions. You kind of want to basically go all in the center, which is, yes, an interesting idea. I haven't seen it. So knight d4 takes takes, and now bishop c5, trying to trade dark squared bishops. So takes takes, and now c takes d5, bishop b7, knight d3. So positional pawn sacrifice to get some activity. As you might see, the king has not yet castled, but Hans played a brilliant game here. So Valdemar plays knight d4, king d3, bishop d5, castle, and now rook d1 attacking the bishop. So bishop goes to c4 now. If queen takes c4, which is not best, there will be queen f3 now. So queen f4 is played now, bishop 2 and rook d6. And suddenly white gets a lot of activity and Volodar starts making mistakes. Queen d5, king goes to f2, rook c8 trying to go to c2, king d4, a5 is a blunder, a4 is a miss according to computer, rook a3, bishop h5, and now g4. So bishop g4 is a mistake, so Volodar tries to basically get some attacking chances with rook c8, rook c2, but it just doesn't work. So king goes to g3, queen f1, so trying to checkmate this king, but it is just too safe. Queen f1, king h3, king f1, king h4, and now guess what? At some point rook might come up to g3 and protect from further checks. And now, unfortunately, rook f8 this, king d8, queen f6, queen h8, rook b3, rook is coming to b7. Now Valdar, of course, tries to go for some checks, but unfortunately here he had to resign. He is not able to capture the knight on g4 due to rook b7 checkmate. So rook c7 checkmate, and if he captures the queen, of course you don't want to play down a whole knight. Knight comes to f6, rook b7, take on f7, take on g6. This pawn moves, this pawn will fall, and Hans won the first game. We get another world chess champion in this event, Viswanathan Anand, the legend, the tiger, the Indian tiger, absolute monster. And he plays Wesley So, who is still very consistent in top events. He's still playing everywhere. So let's see how the game between two. We can call Wesley a veteran at this point, because just looking at how long he's been in the elite, it's the battle of veteran basically. So e5, bishop f5, we have Karakan on the board, and actually this knight d2 knight b3 idea became quite popular recently. A lot of chessable course experts recommend knight d2 knight b3 as the plan. So yes, deserves some attention. Knight c5, castle, knight e7, knight e4, bishop goes to e4, now bishop f3, f4. In my opinion, it is a slightly better position with white, and white are not risking anything here just because they have two bishops, everything is pretty much under control. Yes, e4 square is kind of under black's control, but you don't really care. At some point you play c3, queen potentially comes this way, of course, not knight on c5, and it should be good for For white takes takes, cp, now a4, a5, take some space. And, surprisingly to me, Vishy played an absolutely perfect game. So g5 takes, g3 rook c6, bishop g2, knight g7, bishop d4, rook c8, and soon Wesley blundered. I mean, the position was actually super good. f4 is a good move, takes, bishop b6, king this, and after bishop d4, final blunder happened. So g4 was played. Wesley should have captured in d4, then played rook d8, and he's fine. He plays g4. And after she takes f4, it turns out that knight f4, there are queen f5, there are e6 ideas. The position slowly collapses. So knight goes to h3, king f1. So you might ask why not knight e6, because rook g4 simply takes and white wins the game. So knight h3, king f1, rook j8 e6. And basically, Wesley's position collapsed in a matter of like one move. It was equal, and then it's just dead lost. King h6, bishop e3, now knight g5, h4. So the idea of h4 is very interesting. Now, en passant is forced, but it's not. But here, bishop g5 just comes with the full force. For rook g5, I believe there is rook h4, which just went on the spot. And you can play rook g5, you can play queen g5, you can play rook h7, rook f7 probably is winning for sure as well. I mean, every move wins. But the game ended with king g7, h5, and Wesley resigned. Wesley then looked to bounce back against Volodar Murzin in his round number 2. So we have Italian game, and we have the Scotch gambit, knight c5, takes, rook d1, b6. That's again another very interesting opening choice. Castle, bishop g5, takes, and now retakes on d4. Knight c3, rook d1, takes, and as you might see, there are potential for attacks. So we have an absolutely equal position here. Absolutely equal. The bishop on b7 is active, protects a6. I would actually prefer to play with black here, but let's see what happens. So queen f h6, creating space for the king. I mean, looks great for black. I don't know how you could lose this position even in rapid. Looks like if you give me this position with a black piece, I won't lose it. So queen c4, king goes back, and Valder tried to get some threefold. I'm actually curious if you can just simply take. So I still think black might potentially hold it, but of course it's a little bit inconvenient here. For black, the bishop, I mean, it just points towards f3 pawn, which is kind of bad. So knight e2, knight c3, knight f4, king c3, knight f6, bishop c6. The idea was that if queen takes, king d2, and perpetual will be followed. So as you might see, a lot of dark squares. And now, guess what? Ta-da! 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 Oh no! And after queen e7, unfortunately for Volodar, his position is just simply lost, which is kind of insane. Knight f6 red is unstoppable, and Wesley wins the game. So, Vishy was playing against Erwin in round number 3, and let's see what happened here. So we once again have Italian opening Gucci piano, knight c3, knight f6, d6, knight a4, and now white are looking towards taking the bishop on b6. Knight a5 takes, now bishop d7 and b4 taking up some space. Knight d8, knight h4, knight d6, f4 takes. So g5 here doesn't really work due to rook f6, and the position becomes completely winning. You can play whatever with white and win. So it's not really a 4, queen e6, knight f3, and d5 striking in the center. Knight d7 attacking the pawn, once again attacking the pawn. And actually this pawn chain looks very good for white. But because of f6, that's actually, becomes very, very equal and actually more pleasant for black. Queen f5, takes, c6, king h5, trying to potentially make a draw, but now Vishy takes on a4. And suddenly he takes the initiative. Takes, king c4, rook d5, rook d1 is a blunder, knight f5 takes another pawn, and there's no escape for white pieces. Aravin, of course, tries to create problems, but after takes 6, I mean, Ed is just hopeless. Queen f4, rook g5 takes 6, 2 plus pawns, and of course, Vishy was able to convert as Aravin designed. And another player who gets 2.5 points after the first day of play is Hans Niemann. And we have Karakan, and once again e5. We see a lot of e5 Karakan in this tournament, and Hans is playing bishop e2, not knight d2, knight b3 plan. Castle, knight c3, bishop d2, bishop quite conservative system. I've never seen it played before. Again, I mean, Hans is showing some novelties at this tournament. It's going to be interesting to spectate him in the next couple of days because, yeah, Bishop B2, Bishop D2 looks kind of weird in a way, but it looks like White keep all the advantage. Rook C1, H3, Rook E1, Bishop D3, Knight E2, and guess what? C5 is already losing. So Knight F4, and now C4. Look, it looks like Hans Hans is definitely prepared because I mean he's playing fast. Practice down to 5 minutes. C4 takes, and now guess what? Ba-boom! Hans Smoke Niemann sacrifices his bishop, and now bishop d5. So the idea was that after it takes, let's say takes, I mean, knight comes to c7, e6, knight e5, king h5. I mean, all sort of threats. So castle, bishop d5, e6, plays e6 as well. Knight d5 takes, forks, wins the exchange, comes with rook to c7, now sacrifices another piece of material, and guess what? It's tough to protect it. He wins in exchange, so takes, knight f7, knight d6, and here black resign. I mean, what an insane run by Hans during the first day. And he is sharing the first place with Vishy Wesley after losing his first round against Vishy. Won 2 of his games. We have Vidit, we have Nihal Sarin, we have Wei, Arjun, Aravin, and Volodar. All of them are very strong chess players, so it's very interesting to see how they will do in the next couple of days. They'll have to play Blitz as well, so exciting event. Let me know who you're rooting for, and I'll see you after day number 2 tomorrow. Bye bye.